All right, let's do another drunken Q&A. And tonight, the usual suspect of Newcastle Brown Ale and Jameson whiskey, which I was told not to drink Jameson whiskey in certain parts of Ireland or I might be in trouble. So that was interesting to learn. But yeah, it's been a while. The holidays were good. They were productive. I had a good time with the family. Drank too much, ate too much. I had a good time. So everything I think we should all be doing through the holidays. Decompressing, spending time with the family, enjoying life. So I did a lot of that. I hope you did a lot of that as well. So let's get into it. First, sure enough, damn, I really missed the rants now. Sorry I criticized you. Here's hoping you do a drunken Q&A tonight. Well, that was from 5 nights ago, so I didn't that night, but here it is now. So yeah, how dare you criticize me for my drunken rants and then say, hey, where are they at? It's been some weeks. So, yeah. But on the flip side, the Cultured Thug channel, I did put out a couple videos, and I'm working on one now. I was working on a couple, and I swear over the past week, it changed from 3 different videos, and I had like 2 of them half done, and now it just went to one. I'm completely starting from scratch now, and we'll get into that right now, as a matter of fact, because the next question, Thug, can you make a video about the recent debate between Sargon and Richard Spencer on Adam Worski's channel? And funny enough, this person asked me about it, then someone else linked me to it. So I got through about an hour and 30 minutes of it so far, and I'll probably finish it, throughout the week. I mean, it's like 4 hours long. So, and you can basically tell, or, just knowing who the people are. I had said in one of my, I think in my, when I showed my book collection video, where I'm always interested in the philosophy people are interested in, because you can tell who they are. And just knowing, like listening to the first hour and 30 minutes, you have basically Styx and Sargon against Richard Spencer. You can tell like this Lockean view, this John Locke, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, and especially the all men are created equal line, especially this mentality. It's, it's hard to live in a house of this philosophy when the foundations are built out of like paper mache, something very weak where any amount of pressure will make it crumble. And this is what a lot of these people, they live in this mentality. So it's hard. So they're arguing about ethno-states and this is this and that. And Richard Spencer didn't answer any of the pragmatic questions thrown at him about the ethno-states. And he basically said, this isn't a reality in our lifetime. So once again, this is why I believe what I believe. I'm looking for victory and change in my lifetime. I can't accept this fucking pie in the sky shit. He did a good job of pointing out exactly why I believe what I believe is the way to go. But with that said, so you have these people with this John Locke philosophy. It's so ridiculous. They might as well be talking about the Tooth Fairy and Santa Claus with all this shit, with their social contract, with their everyone is created equal. These lies from the start. You can't build a philosophy off a foundation of lies. When at the foundation, the core of it is built off of falsity. And I think this is the difference. This is the true difference between, the individualists, the libertarians, the capitalists, and the people that are more collectivists, is with people. And I think it would be even, and Spencer would agree with this, that, you either have that view, this Lockean view, or you have the view of life is struggle, and that everything manifested is from will. And it's 2 completely different worldviews. And the life is struggle. Everything is manifested from will, and might. What is right is dictated through might. People may view these as negative things, but they're not, and they're realistic things, which is the most important. These people are speaking utopias, Styx and Sargon, and goddamn, how fucking annoying is this Sargon cat? Like, I haven't really had a chance to listen to a lot of his shit, or at least his debates with people. until just recently, just with the one where Millennial Woe was brought up, tried to get Sargon to debate me on Nazi economics. And like, I listened to a chunk of that back and forth between Millennial Woes and Sargon, and I listened to about an hour and 30 minutes of this last debate where apparently Millennial Woes and even V fucking come in later on. And like I said, I'll listen and get to all that, but god damn, this guy's insufferable. How the hell is someone like him popular? I just don't get it. I just don't get it, because he seems like such a pompous piece of shit. He's another one of these people that are not about authentic conversation. Sticks, to his credit, is. But someone like Sargon, he's definitely not about authentic conversation. He's like another Stefan character. He's more interested in winning arguments. And it's disgusting. I hate speaking to people like that. They're so fake. They're such pieces of shit. And they're disgusting. So, goddamn, that guy's annoying. So, I'm kind of glad. I knew he wouldn't. I figured he wouldn't take the bait as far as taking Millennial Woes up on debating me. Not because he'd probably do all his little argument tricks that he always does. And regardless of how that went, I'd still, just like with Stefan, I'd be able to siphon off, a little amount of his supporters to check out, videos on fascism and third position beliefs. And it'd be beneficial just for that. But I figured he wouldn't, some small fascist channel that's, if he looked at, would see was learned on this topic in particular. So like, why would he even set himself up against that to give me the rub, essentially? So I figured that, but a good thing came out of it, because I had quite a few people, as soon as Millennial Woes mentioned me to him, there was a noticeable spike within the day or two after that, in subscribership, and quite a few people asked me about Nazi economics. And I think a better format than even a debate with some condescending piece of shit would be putting together the video. I'd said in the V video that I was eventually going to do it, but this is like a year down the road. I had so many other topics I wanted to get into, but since so many people asked me on it, I figured, I was like, okay, I'll put it together. And unfortunately, it's looking like it's going to be a detailed video and run a couple hours at least. But it will definitely be, well, here, let me kind of show you like what I'm working with. I'm only halfway through. In like the past 2 weeks, the kids have been off school. They start school next week. So my time's going to get a little more limited. But even with the extra time I've had in the past week, I only got half of it down. And let me show you what I'm working with here. Just so you can see what we're going through here. So, boom, here's the video. Well, I mean, here's halfway through with the literature we have now. What I'm doing is taking the video from books, mainly The Wages of Destruction, which is like the opus of Nazi economy, and translating, because I can't find a lot of these things on PDF, damn it. So I got to translate it into text to the books. Like I'm halfway through, and there's pages and pages and pages of stuff already. So it's like I'm trying to tell the most accurate story I can. So this would be the one-stop shopping place for information on what Nazi economic policy was, outside of reading these books for yourself. So this is like what I try to do with all my videos I do. I try to make it a one-stop place to where once you see a video on any book I'm talking about, like you understand the general premises. Of course, you can always read it. Look, I'm still going. The whole time I'm talking, boom, boom, boom. Just barely got to the Wages of Destruction's part. Everything else was different sources. Now I'm at the Wages of Destruction. Here we go. Boom, boom, boom. And like I'm halfway through what I need to put through, the information I need to put down on the Wages of Destruction. So as you could see, it's going to be quite, it's going to be long. So yeah, long and detailed at least. Like I said, I've looked up a lot of the other videos on the Nazi economy, and, it's either all just, complete positive reading propaganda pamphlets instead of like actually what went on kind of stuff that are way too positive and not accurate, or it's all way too negative stuff that are, quote farming and nitpicking and taking negative views of things that, could be spun positive as well, which I will do in the video. So a lot of things I speak about in the video, other people may look at as negative, but I'll look at it as more positive aspect and of course explain why. So it'll at least be, so out of all that shit, at least I got, kind of kicked in the butt to put out this video out there, which I think, the time has come for something like that, is just especially looking up all the other videos. Like there wasn't really shit out there that gives you an accurate, fair and balanced, the catchphrase of fair and balanced, but a truly fair and balanced view of the Nazi economy. So yeah. But yeah, as far as the debate, I only got an hour, 30 minutes through it so far. And, like once again, it is what it is. It's these classic liberals with these ridiculous utopic, beliefs of non-aggression principle and all this stupid shit. And yeah, because the Constitution says this.
May I see that letter, Sir Barristan? Protector of the realm. Is this meant to be your shield, Lord Stark? A piece of paper.
It's like, no, it's because force says this, because the Constitution is backed by force. That fucking piece of paper doesn't mean a motherfucking thing if force isn't behind it. Who gives a fuck about it? So these libertarians and capitalists are completely delusional. Styx even goes on and says in the debate, he's like, when America was individualistic and capitalist, that, that's the time you're going to the stars. Like, no, those were government programs, NASA, that was sending us to the moon. Not your fucking greedy piece of shit capitalist swine, the individualist pigs. They weren't the ones taking us to space. It was collective efforts doing that. That was tax money being used. Just like today with Elon Musk and all these entrepreneurs. They can't even muster up the money for their space desires. So they get funded by the government too. So it's these misnomers, these fucking sickos keep preaching that keep leading us to the slaughter. It's ridiculous. It is what Spencer does have right is collective force, might makes right. That's it. And if you're not in that game, you're going to fucking lose. And these fucking pieces of shit, these Sargons, these Styxes, these Stephans, these whoever's that feed into this individualistic capitalist bullshit are selling you down the river. You cannot have a society, a culture, a people survive in this environment with that kind of mentality. It's ridiculous. It's those that accumulate force through power are the only ones that are going to dictate where the world goes. So that's it. And that's the fundamental reality of life. That's always been the reality of life. There's never been a different version of it because that's human nature. It always has been and probably always will be. This is what made Might is Right such a great pivotal book of its time, was because outside of all the racialisms and the Jewish question stuff, outside of all that, Ragnar, whoever his real name was frustrated at this liberal utopic bullshit that was going through people's head. When it's like, no, life has always been dictated by might. The people who had force made the laws. This is why the majority respected the laws, because there was penalties implied by force for breaking those laws. This is how it's always been. And how it continues to be, especially even more so today with how people are. So yeah, it's just ridiculous. You can't speak to people like that. If you are going to speak to people like that, you should address it at its core. Maybe they go into it later in the debate. I don't know. But you should get to the philosophic core and attack that before you even go on to ethno-states and all this stuff. And like I said, from the little bit I saw, I thought, Spencer pretty much. But he knows himself. I'm going to put this this tweet from Spencer up. And he says, some advice for potential candidates who care about identitarian and alt-right ideas. You have a choice to make. 1, be a normie-friendly populist. 2, be an identitarian quick toxic candidate. Each path is equally valid, but you have to choose. So, personally, I wouldn't call myself a normie friendly populist. I'm not too normie friendly with my populism, but I think normie is going to become the general themes of my beliefs, of what I believe will be more normie, and as time continues, as the years go on. And I don't mean years down the road. I mean like within the next decade. I think these core principles that fascists can seize upon are there. So, and I think it's just speaking to that desire. I wouldn't say genealogy is dead. It's certainly a minority practice, but I would say there's been something of a revival of it in recent years. Although I might just be saying this because it's something my mom has gotten really into as of late. On a wider note, however, what do you think of the success of genealogical services like Ancestry.com and 23andMe? The way I see it, their success is a manifestation of a lot of what you've been talking about when it comes to people getting sick of modernity. That a decent amount of people are beginning to look for something deeper than consumerism to form their identity around. I don't think it's a full-on awakening to the horrors of modernity, but it could easily be the start of one. Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, but I would also disagree in where you're thinking, it's just a small thing right now or a niche, but it's really catching on because your mother's into it. Guess what? A bunch of people around me too in my family have gotten into it within the past years or two, and it's not only over racial DNA, but also over health. Like finding out what foods to eat, what genes you have that may be counteractive to your diet, stuff like that. People are looking into. We're picking up where we left off before we closed all the doors on eugenics, and it's just picking up where we left off. And imagine if we hadn't closed the doors on eugenics, where we would be at now, as far as all this goes. So like I've said over and over again, if the Nazis were allowed to, be the Nazis, if they were just given the Danzig and allowed to, be their own little fascist state, they'd be on Mars right now, and they would be genetically superior as far as being able, because they believed in eugenics, and they would take proactive, positive eugenic moves, be they through breeding or be they through the interjection of science, to improve themselves. So it's yeah. It is an awakening. It is a looking for something more. It is another sign of people looking for something more. I think you interpreted that right. I think there's many of these signs. This is why I'm optimistic. It's not, and I'm not the most educated person in the world and all this shit, but I've been aware and I guess introspective enough and analytical enough of my surrounding to be pessimistic for most of my existence, but now not to be. And I think that speaks for itself. I think we, like I keep saying, we have the opportunity. If we don't seize it, it's our own fault. It's our own fault. So that's the reality of it. And I think, once again, the path is self-improvement, betterment, become the cultured thugs, become the philosopher warriors, become thought and action, and run for local political positions, speak to the people out there. It's not about joining these little fringe internet parties and all this shit. It's about going speaking to the people. So I think that's the direction we all need to be building ourselves to. That's at least where I'm building myself to. And I know there's a lot more people that are in the same ballpark of ideology and that are influenced by the same philosophies and ways of life and views of life, that it could definitely, we're in the time where that message is more palatable to people. So I think it's very important. I think, yes, that's another sign of it right there, is the interest in DNA tests. I've been hearing so much of it just within my own family and people around me. You see the commercials all over. So yes, it is picking up, and it is a good thing it's picking up. It's good people are looking into their ethnic and racial background. It's good because you know your history. You know your tribe's history. You also might know the history of the foods you're supposed to eat that are, best for your body, because this is where for thousands of years your ancestors grew up. So there's so many benefits to this, and it's unfortunate that it's just barely picking up over the last 5 years. That it was something we left off of, especially after World War II. Okay. What is your thoughts? Okay, no. Hold on. It seems to me the future of America is going to come down to Marxist socialism or patriotic libertarianism or conservatism. Would you agree or disagree? I couldn't disagree more. The future is coming down to fascism or communism or whatever you want to call it. I'm just labeling it like that, two blanket terms. It's either going to be a collective authoritarian liberal, I don't even want to say leftist, liberal force that is ruled by international finance, or it's going to be a nationalistic, fascistic, reactionary party that's collective and authoritarian based. That's going to win. Conservatism, libertarians, capitalism, they're gone. Gone. Dinosaurs. They're on their way out. Nothing supports that. Nothing in any of the data supports that there's more conservative, individualistic conservatives coming about. No, it's not. It's this. And once again, I think the main telltale was the last election when Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump were more popular than had the most enthusiasm out of both parties. And both of them wouldn't be your traditional Democrat or Republican. So, yeah, no, they're good riddance, man. Good fucking riddance. What a shit fucking idea capitalism and individualism was. Fuck you guys. Get the fuck out of here already. They've held back the progress of humanity for long enough. They've turned humanity into vultures, picking at the lower instincts of humans for far too long. They've created a system that is not advantageous to honor, to courage, to forthrightness. They created a system that was advantageous to cunning, to tricking people, to feeding on people's weaknesses. This is the society they build with their division of the people and with their promoting of, capitalist oligarchies can promote whatever fucking decadence they want as long as it fucking makes money for these pieces of shit, that it's a worthwhile thing. It's good. Yeah, no, good riddance to this shit. Good riddance. Enough of falling for these abstract terms. Liberty, freedom. What does any of that mean? What does any of that mean? It's whoever has force dictates what the fuck your liberty is and what your freedom is. That's how it's always has been. Why is this not understood more so by people? Why is this not understood? And like I said, it's not even a bad thing. It's just what it is, what it's always been. So no, fuck no. Good riddance, man. Good riddance. All right, let's see. Culture Thug, hypothetically speaking, if there was a fascist state established somewhere on Earth, how do you think the Marxists, communists, and anarchists, etc., should be handled? Well, if they're not willing to conform and work within the system, if they're are going to be insistent on rebelling and trying to ferment revolution against the system, I think you have three options. That's one, work camps. Two, expel them. Three, put them up against the wall. So I think that's it. I don't see any other way to deal with these type of people. If they're not willing to work within the system, and if they're not willing to say, oh, damn, well, I disagree with this, but, hey, I can make a living and live my life. It's not that bad. And look at the positives of it. If they just can't do that, yeah, man, that's it. That's your only solutions. All right. And lastly, hey, Thug, here's a question I mentioned on your main channel since YouTube ate my PM for some reason. Fascism was confided to be anti-intellectualist, and whatever that implied definitionally, Gentile noted that certain fascists did not fully comprehend what anti-intellectualism meant and entailed for fascism, leading them to ignore scholarly circles and academic findings due to their misinterpretation. However, even if Gentile meant something radically different by anti-intellectualism, that wasn't simply ignorance. That wasn't simply ignoring science. His idea of thought and action meant that fascism was not to produce or be measured by theoretical or practical theses, like these John Locke lovers do and all this shit and all this Mises Institute fuckers do with their individualism. It's all theoretical, practical theories. Or practical theses, and it did not blah, blah, blah. I completely lost myself. By theoretical or practical theses, and it did not and did not, to a significant extent, besides precious works by Gentile, Rocco, and the like. So my question is to you, this doctrine has obviously failed. Fascism was too vulnerable in the intellectual plane from the beginning, and now it has completely collapsed. With all of fascism birthing works having disappeared from the face of history, leaving academics, historians clueless about its roots, having to speculate, or Marxist ideologues ready to, if not demonize, diminish, and reduce the ideology in every way possible. Fascism had to fight into intellectual plane, a plane already dominated by Marxists and liberal scholars and intellectuals, to preserve itself. And today, modern fascists struggle to vindicate it. What is your opinion of the best way to go about this, and how will modern fascists avoid the dangers of misinterpretation and distortion of the original idea? Well, first, I guess it's building your own intellectual community. Because of the quote-unquote intellectuals that exist today. None of them are fascists. All of them speak against fascism. So it would be with having more people like Gentile, or promoting the works of Gentile. Once again, I'm repetitive with this, but the best thing we can do as individuals, we hold no power right now. We're separated by land, distance, all this stuff. We hold no fucking power. This is the reality of it. 99% of us are working class people that see a problem and want to change it. We don't have the money. We don't have the backing. We don't have the colleges and the universities and the professors and academia behind us. We have none of this behind us. So we have to create it for ourselves. And it's by promoting the words of the past, of the people of the past. It's by building ourselves up to be the best representatives we can for an ideology. And that means improving yourself and promoting the ideology. It's soon enough you'll build that intellectual field if that's what you're looking to build. And soon enough, if you promote it properly and you get the message out there properly, people will understand what it's about. They won't be confused about the anti-intellectualism. I think I went into that on my fascist philosophy video about, the difference between, anti-intellectualism and just simply, dismissing intellectuals. Big difference. But the reality is, that could be misinterpreted by people. Often our enemies purposely misinterpret it and attack fascism as this purely blue-collar, purely emotionally driven ideology because of their attacks against the intellectual class. But Giovanni's criticisms were very accurate and deserve to be expressed. So it's just repeating the words and representing the words of these people that you say that modern academia has forgotten about. Yeah, it's rebirthing them, digging them up from the grave and putting them back out there. And I think the more you have people doing that, the more success you're going to have, the more it's going to grow. So it needs to be more and more people, once again, improving themselves, stepping up, putting the message out there. Ezra Pound, we'll go back to him again. He said, if you're not willing to take any risk for your beliefs, either you are no good or your beliefs are no good. So we have to take that mentality. We have to live up to our ideals. We have to promote them the best we can, and we have to put the message out there. We have to dig the lost souls out of their graves and release them from the world to know their names once again, to know what they spoke once again, and to know why it is a proper and right way forward, much better than anything offered in the capitalist or Marxist sense. And I think that's the best we can do. And from there, everything else will come. But we're at such a minute level right now. But don't be disheartened, because once again, the sentiment is there. It's there to be tapped into. It is just up to fascistic-minded individuals to seize that opportunity. And I think that's where we're at. I think we need to start building for that. I don't think it's a game. I think everyone that watches this channel should be motivated enough to start taking action within themselves, to improve themselves, and to find a way how they can contribute one way or another to a greater society. Because if you don't, you're just admitting defeat. You're just giving it to them. Okay? And we can all die comfortable. We can have our satin shackles on and live out our lives and, watch our television shows and do our little thing and hide in our little bubbles and circles and on the internet. We can all grow old and die like that, but man, we only got one life, and I think we can accomplish a lot more than we are in this life. And I think, through persistence, through will, through willing to sacrifice, we can accomplish these things. And I think those of us that are attracted to this third position politics, those of us that have seen outside of the lies we were raised in, I think that's special. And I think we need to tap into that. And I think we've seen history change numerous times when people have done that. So I do think the system is big, but it's big enough to fail. It is built on a house of cards. It can be easily blown over. It just takes us stepping up. That's the only way anything's going to change. We need males to become men. And that's it. That's it. There's no simple answer. It's hard work. It's dedication. It's will. It's fanatic obsession with victory. That's it. That's the only way to build a vanguard, a true vanguard. So, yeah, I think that's where we're at. I got a little preachy and ranty there, but I tend to do that. So, cheers, gentlemen. Hopefully within the next 2 weeks, I'll have out that Nazi economy video. And I'm convinced that you're not going to find anything else online. And once you watch it, if it's 2 hours or 3 hours long, however long it is, trust me, you'll have the full scope of what went on during the peace years. I'm not even going to war years, and I'll explain that in the video why not. But you'll have the full scope of that. So you'll know the good and the bad, what worked, what didn't work, etc.